Congratulations on taking on the whistle project. Yay! The whistle looks kind of like this. Ooh, whistly. Works awesome. We're going to make one today. In the black book, you're going to find a set of instructions with pictures and how to set up the machine and how to make it look right and all these things. And I'm going to ask you skill testing questions that are basically how far from the end are we going to make a notch? What angle do we set it in? How far is it going to stick out of the milling machine? Blah, 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 every step of the way to convince me that you've actually read the instructions. I find that 100% of grade 8s don't follow the instructions. These are instructions. These are like having me with you at all times, giving you all the information you need, only less annoying. So if you can read, or even if you can look at pictures, you can figure this out. And you can always ask questions. There are no stupid questions, only stupid people. Lots of things that you can do to find your answers. The plans are going to tell you to mark a mark. We're going to mark a mark 5/8 of an inch away from the end. Check the link up here to learn how to read a fractional ruler. If you can't tell the difference between inches, millimeters, and centimeters, I probably know what elementary school you went to. So that's my little mark. I put a V mark on there, and the bottom of the V is where my mark actually is. V's are more deliberate. Let's go to the mill. The milling machine looks big and scary. It's really not that hard. There's a couple things going on. We've got a cutter here just like a drill press because it removes material. It's a power machine and it turns on. We're going to wear eye protection. I'm going to put those on because I'm safe. This crazy device is called a dividing head. It can be used to do all kinds of stuff. We're just going to use it because it sets it up at this angle at 20 degrees. Over here you'll see a degree indicator at 20. We're going to stick our whistle in with a notch up, sticking out of this about 3 fingers. It's about 3 finger widths. Make that nice and tight. Although this doesn't turn, never leave a chuck key in the chuck. Always remove it. This whole thing works like so. This up and down. This one forward and back. This one side to side. So position it so this side of the cutter is touching your line. And if you haven't already done so, there's a power button over here on the side that you need to turn on. Right over here. With that on, this thing should run. We're going to go for this switch on the bottom. High speed for aluminum. Then we run it through. Then we're going to raise the table 1/4 turn to make a cut. Go slow. The slower you go, the smoother the finish. We started with this side of the cutter touching the metal. Another 1/4 turn. We're going to go until this side of the cutter just touches the metal. So this cutter, which is 5/8 of an inch, is going to leave a cut that's 5/8 of an inch. If you speak metric, that's about 16 millimeters. I should have 16 millimeters of flat on here. And I'm just doing 1/4 of a turn per cut till I get to the end. The slower you go, the smoother the finish, which means less filing, less sanding. You'll be happier. I'll be happier. Your little dog Sparky is going to be happy too. I think we're almost done. Oh yeah. Looks like 16th. Wait for it to come to a stop and then we'll take it out. Don't let it drop inside. I'll laugh at you the whole time I'm digging it out. You can take a file and knock off some of these hairy bits. Less things to catch your fingers. break your skin and stuff. Next part of the plan is going to ask you to put a center punch mark opposite end over here, 3/16 from the end of the whistle. Check out the link up here to learn how to read fractional measurement. And if the flat is going this way, I want the center punch to be going this way. The fancy word here that you want is parallel to. And this little semicircle on a vise does a sweet job of holding around stuff. Let's go drill this. I always put the drill bit's pointy side in because as the kids destroy these shanks, they don't fit in here so much anymore. But really what matters is not this end, but this end. Make sure the drill bit that you're picking fits in the smallest hole that it will fit. Some kids will take like this drill and put it in here and go, oh, it's totally 17/64. It's not. Make sure it fits in the smallest hole. Don't trust nobody drilling. The chuck works like this. You can hold this piece and turn this piece. And as you're turning, you'll see 3 little fingers come out to grab the drill or not grab the drill. So you adjust it, put the drill bit in there, and then I always like to spin this thing around by hand to make sure that it actually looks like it's going to drill.
Mr. Wellwood, that's totally not going to drill.
You're right. Good thing I checked, huh? Just like Mickey D's always repeating the order back to you so you can know that you're going to get what you ordered. So get that in there, spin it, make sure it sits true. Your project, you want to set this little center punch mark right straight up on the top. If it's not exactly on the top, the drill bit's going to fall off one side to the other. If the drill bit falls off to one side, if it's going this way, rotate this up and reclamp it. If it falls off that way, rotate it up and reclamp it. I want the center punch mark in line with the screw. Don't drill into the vise itself. Set that in there, clamp it nice and tight like a tiger. Clamp. Then, make sure there's even less stuff going on. We're going to use this clamp to clamp this down to the table. I usually like to line this up with the drill. Sometimes when I'm feeling saucy, I'll use one hand to bring this down, hold the drill bit in the center punch mark, and then clamp the vise to the table. Then we turn it on. Then we put the guard down, let this thing sit. There's an adjustment on that side. Just let that thing float. That apparently protects you. We got the power button up here, so you can turn it on. Then you start drilling. Just pull this down, let the drill bit find its mark, and just drill. Notice I'm not using a lot of effort here. You don't need 2 hands and a foot and heave on this with all your strength. Just let the drill bit do the work. If it's really not drilling, the drill bit's probably dull. I can sharpen them in 3.5 seconds. So let me know if it doesn't drill right. Once it breaks through, you'll know, and you should be done. Awesome. Turn it off, either the red button by the power switch or this one. This is here. This is handy, so if you're getting pulled into the machine, your forehead will hit that and shut the machine off. Safety first. Congratulations on making it to the lathe. If you made it this far, you're already halfway there. We've got our whistle project. We're going to do some things. We're going to cut the end flat called facing. Just like in wood shop, they talk about a face side and a face edge. We need to put a face on this. Then we're going to cut a taper or a chamfer, angles. Angled cut on here. This can do that fairly well. We've got different speeds. I'm going to make you choose this one with this guy straight up going for 630 and this one up. If it doesn't go into gear, you may need to turn the chuck to make that happen. So 630 is the speed we're going to pick. This wheel moves the cutter left and right. This wheel moves the cutter forward and back. This one will cut at whatever angle I set it at. I can use a wrench to loosen this, turn that to whatever angle I want. You'll notice there's a degree wheel on the bottom. Right now it's lined up to 0. You're going to want 20 degrees. So I set that to 20 with this wheel closer to the center of the lathe. This would be a good time to come and see me and say, "Hey, Mr. Wellwood, I set up the lathe and you told me to point out this sentence, and I'm pointing this sentence out to you. Come and get me and show me that you're watching this video." I like the cutters going perpendicular to the direction of travel. Holy carp. So I'm switching to this cutter because it'll get where I want to go with the least amount of harassment. I'm going to put this in the chuck no more than a thumb width. That's my thumb width. Never leave the chuck key in the chuck. Then I'm going to bring this over. And I like this going 90 degrees perpendicular to the direction I'm traveling. You're going to aim for the center. You might not hit the center. We'll find out once we cut it. Give it a nice little snug. So from the front it looks like this. From the top it looks like this. Then I always spin the chuck by hand to make sure nothing's going to hit. You can see how this has been destroyed by kids. Then I turn it on. Take a cut. Only what you need to make it smooth. Pretty close to the middle. I like that. Then do the other side. If this sticks out really far and you try to cut it, it's going to climb up the cutter. It'll start to whip. You need it to nay. Same thing. Nothing's going to hit. The chamfer we cut is going to be 20 degrees. This can be whatever I want. 20 is going to be a happy thing. Zoom in. Zoom. Focus, Danielson, focus. Focus. Can't focus, Danielson. 20. Then, because I'm going to be cutting with this wheel going in this direction, I want the cutter going that way. So this isn't really the best cutter for this. Ooh, who didn't bolt this down? You're fired. Oh my gosh. All right. So now I'm going to change to a different cutter. Maybe this one, just for giggles. So from the side it looks like this, and from above it looks like this. Spin the chuck by hand, position it, cut only with this one. Let me make this out of your way. Cut only with this wheel. Come back, forward a bit more, and then cut some more. You want to cut it down until about half of this is left. Once it's cut, chuck key. Flip it around, do the other side, stick it out no more than a thumb width. Never leave the chuck key in the chuck. Nothing hits. Here we go. don't touch the swarf. The little metal chips are really sharp and can cut you really bad. Now we want to put a hole in there. We're going to use this crazy little drill bit done to find the exact center. This is called a center bit. It's attached to a chuck at the moment. That isn't always. Make sure the tang is straight up. It goes over here into the tailstock. Push this out a little bit. Make sure that's straight up and down. Boom! There it is, in your face. Line that up till it's close. This guy locks it down, and then we're going to turn this and drill into it. Nothing hits. Take out the drill bit. Then we're going to change to a 15/64. Clamp it in. Here we go. Nothing's going to hit. Drill gentle. The deeper you drill, the lower the pitch will be. A shallow drill will have a high pitch. If it's too shallow, it'll be too high and only your dog will hear it. Don't bury the flutes. If you bury the flutes and the chips can't come out, the chips will jam and then break the drill bit off. And I'll laugh at you the whole time I'm putting yours with the others. Be gentle. Let the drill do the work. I'm not even breaking out into a sweat here. I'm getting pretty close. I'm going to want to stop soon. Watch out for the swarf. Very dangerous. If it takes a lot of work to drill it, come and get me. It probably needs sharpening. Again, with the file, you probably want to take some of the burrs off of this, the sharp edges that are raised. You want to make that a sharp, crisp edge. Crisp edges toot. Really nice. Looks like there's a bit on the inside. I got a tin can of wee files. I've got 3 sizes of files. Wee, not so wee, and freaking huge. There's a round file. If you want it to be round, you've got to use the round file. And that's what we're using. Just to take that sharp edge off. It's kind of annoying because you got to go one way, then you got to go in the other way. Till it comes off nice and clean, man. All right, she's a ripper. Okay, next, the whistle reed. Let's go cut one of those. All right, the wood bandsaw. I don't usually let kids work with this. Depending how deep you cut the whistle, you want to have about a 1/4 inch of space in here. You want to have about a 1/4 inch of air gap. This is a bit deep. So I'm just making a mark here. I'm going to cut this on here. Starts off as round. I want it to be not round to the tune of 5.5 millimeters. So you can take this in a file and just shiggy, 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 shiggy until it's flat down one side. This is not the sharpest file on the rack. I might have said that in a report card comment once. It's going to be almost in half because we need it to be 5.5 millimeters and it is currently 6 millimeters in diameter, flat. And just like your finger is round so it easily fits up your nose, we're going to round the end of this so it easily fits in the hole. That doesn't take a lot of work. Don't overthink it. Then you're going to line up the flat with the flat. Okay? See how the flat lines up with the flat? Make sure the flats line up. Depending how much you weigh, you can just give it a shove and then give it a toot. Now I have 3 whistles. Congratulations on making it to the polishing machine. You're going to sand it till you can't stand it. You're going to put a little bit of buffing compound on the wheel. You're going to put your whistle on there and make it all bling and shiny and awesome. You're going to wear eye protection, so I don't have to hit you with eye protection. Polish on the bottom of the wheel, so when it catches it, it rips it away from you. Not the top, where it gets thrown into your face. I'll laugh at you. You're going to sand it. This is like 600 grit. Sand it till you can't stand it, and then sand it a little bit more. When it's all sanding marks, we can polish it. Just like running your toothpaste, just like brushing your teeth, you don't need a lot of polish. You just need some. Give it some color, that's it. You don't need to pack this full of compound. And then polish on the bottom with eye protection. If you did a good job of sanding, this thing will polish up really nice.